and welcome to another Mongrel Dog production, and welcome to Outback Dust and Corrugations. Come and join us on this intrepid four-wheel drive adventure through Outback Australia. This is going to be good. Grab your gear. Let's go. Well, it's the middle of day two. We've done the boring bits. That is the 900-kilometre road trip from Perth through Kalgoorlie and up towards Laverton. From here, this is where the adventure should really start. We've ended up leaving Perth with a total of 9 cars and 14 people. This is the morning of day 3. We were hoping to make a place called Lake Yeo homestead before last light yesterday. That didn't happen for one reason or another, so we had to pull up short. Found a campsite big enough for the 9 vehicles. In the overall scheme of things, not a bad campsite. Certainly flat, level, heaps of room, big cleared area, so that was good. Today we hope to make, I think it's called Ilkirka. It's just an outpost in the middle of nowhere. I'm not quite sure if we'll make that, but yeah, some of the conditions will change quickly. We are currently on Whitecliffs Road. Shortly that's going to change and become the Anne Beadell Highway, and after that it's pretty much just a sandy twin track in a lot of cases. So yeah, today we should cover a lot of different vegetation, a lot of different terrain, and hopefully yeah, make it at this outpost where we're going to camp tonight. Well, currently at the intersection or the junction of Whitecliffs Road and the Anne Beadell Highway, heading east. This is Yamana Homestead, just ruins, and I believe there was an Aboriginal community here some time ago, but there's no evidence of that left anymore. I think you'll find the conditions deteriorate quite quickly. Currently at Lake Yeo Homestead. This is where we wanted to be last night. We ran out of daylight. Not that that matters, but geez, you've got to admire the determination of some of the early pioneers living out here. Well, end of day 3. We only covered 200 kilometres today. We had a late start, stopped and smelt some roses. We're currently on the Anne Beadell Highway. Anne Beadell Highway, yeah, good on you, Len. You used some poetic licence naming it a highway, but that aside, stopped and had a look at Bishop's Pulpit along the way, which was really the only notable land feature at least. It's difficult to find suitable camping sites along this this stretch of road, a lot of spinifex, but thankfully we've been able to find a spot where the 9 cars can be accommodated. Bit of spinifex, but big cleared area nonetheless, so we'll light the fire, have a meal, have a couple of drinks, and make our way through Neil Junction tomorrow, and perhaps onto Ilkirka tomorrow night. Well, we're currently at Neil Junction. I don't know who Neil was, but this junction is the intersection of the Connie Sue, which runs north-south, and the Anne Beadell Highway, which runs east-west. Both Anne Beadell and Connie Sue were related to Len Beadell, who opened up a lot of the outback with the roads. Anne, of course, was his wife, and Connie Sue was his daughter. Len was commissioned by both the Australian and British governments to put roads down throughout the outback so that they could gain information and data about rocket testing that was done, rocket launches, and also atomic testing that was done in the 50s and 60s. Well, we're just taking a diversion off Anne Beadell Highway. We're just going to go and have a look at a downed aircraft that crash landed some time ago. Some of the track conditions are quite interesting. Still on the Anne Beadell Highway, of course, and we've just pulled up to have a look at this aircraft wreck. Downed in 1995, I don't know, engine failure I guess, belonged to Goldfields Air Services. Apparently they walked away. We've stopped at a tiny outpost called Ilkirka, still on the Anne Beadell Highway. This is the only place you can draw fuel from on the whole route, and that's 1,300 kilometres between Laverton and Coober Pedy, so pretty much everybody needs to call in here for fuel, and at $3 a litre it's an expensive fill. Just crossing the border from West Australia to South Australia. Well, currently at Boaks Hill Corner, still on the Anne Beadell in South Australia, and there's a visitor's book here, and you wouldn't expect it, but on the inside cover is a message from Anne Beadell. No, not Anne Beadell, Connie, yeah? Connie Beadell, which was Len's daughter. New book placed by Connie Sue Beadell and Mick Hutton. Safe Travels, June 2017. Well, this is one of two totems, ground zero for two atomic blasts, which were done in the 1950s. That's why the airfield exists. That's why that was set up there. But yeah, it's an eerie feeling standing here. The vegetation's pretty sparse. And there is a warning there saying that radiation levels are probably still higher than recommended. Well, everybody knows that camels aren't native to Australia. They were introduced to help open up the outback as pack animals, but once automation took over, then they were just left to roam free through the outback. Not too bad. Yeah, we'll come under the boil. Well, that's it. That's the Anne Beadell behind us. 1,300 kilometres of fairly snotty terrain. It's taken us 6 days to do the 1,300 kilometres, so you do the sums. We only averaged about 40 kilometres per hour. Some of the terrain was quite difficult. From here we moved to Coober Pedy, about 40 kilometres away. We'll spend a couple of days there, just R&R before we move on to the next part of this particular trip. What's happened, John? Oh, I thought it was a pin that held your springs together. But
it is. No, it's a pin, but it goes through that and locks into place, and it stops the spring hanger from rotating.
Yeah, the spring hanger. Gosh.
Exactly.
So what's that? Just a tent peg?
That is, yeah, bent over.
Well, not surprisingly, one of the cars has suffered a broken spring hanger bolt. Did a bodgy on it, a steel tent peg, to at least get it mobile and get it here to Coober, Pedy. We'll look around over the weekend or on Monday for a pin, I guess, to try and make the repair permanent. It doesn't surprise me. Some of the corrugations are pretty horrific, so no surprises that suspensions are the first thing to fail. Well, we're just about to leave Coober, Pedy for Ceduna via Googs Track. Googs Track is going to be entertaining. 300 sand dunes, some of them quite high, and I believe the routine normally is to go from south-north. We're going north-south, so because of the prevailing winds, my guess is we're going to have a long run up to some of the dunes. But anyway, everybody's looking forward to it. One bloke's got to remain behind to try and get that front spring hanger sorted out. He's going to meet us at Ceduna. So let's get on with the next phase. Currently on our way to Googs Track. We're following the railway line, the Trans Continental Railway line, for 100 kilometres or so before we start heading south, and we just called into Coober, which used to be a siding. The town's been abandoned, there's nothing here now. They turned the power off a couple of years ago. But, yeah, interesting just to have a look around. Currently on the way to Mount Fink, which is quite a distinctive hill on the Googs Track. There's not really much else around feature-wise. We've already started hitting the sand dunes. Today I'm up the front. They tend to rotate the first vehicle each day. It just allows the trip leader to follow a vehicle instead of having to always navigate and lead. We'll spend a couple of hours at Mount Fink. So blokes who want the opportunity can climb it. It's actually 2 features joined by a saddle. So yeah, we'll be here for some time, I think. Well, we're still on Googs Track, south of Googs Lake now, on the way to Ceduna. This will be our 3rd day on the track, although we had yesterday off at Googs Lake just to explore sort of the local environs there. Some people did some running repairs on equipment and gear and the vehicles, but we'll hit Ceduna in a couple of hours. I think most people have probably enjoyed this section. Some of the dunes, well in fact all of the dunes aren't challenging. but certainly enjoyable. So yeah, we'll get to Ceduna, replenish supplies if we have to, and then keep heading west towards the WA South Australia border. Riddle me this, riddle me that. Is it pronounced Googs or Googs Track? I guess it all depends on who you ask. A bit like Coogee in Western Australia or Coogee in New South Wales. Spelt the same, pronounced differently. Well, we're just west of Fowler's Bay. We stayed last night at on the beach at Scott's campsite, and now we're just heading further west along the coast, having a look at Mexican Hat Bay. I saw a pod of dolphins in one of the bays, probably about a pod of 12. And yeah, now we're heading towards the old air highway. We have now left the sealed air highway. We're currently travelling west on what used to be the old air highway, the original unsealed road. We'll be on this road for a couple of days. It's a few hundred kilometres long, and there are a couple of old travellers' rest stops that we'll be calling in and having a look-see. They're quite interesting places. We are currently at Canola Homestead. We're going to stay here for a day, have a look around. Canola Homestead used to be a pastoral station, primarily sheep, I believe. It was abandoned in 1988 after 50 years. I guess closing the road wouldn't have helped, but the homestead's in good shape. It's been made of old railway sleepers from the Trans Australian Railway line. I'm currently staying in the old shearers' quarters, a two-room building next to the homestead. The rest have primarily camped around the homestead itself. Well, we've left the bush, we're now at the beach. We're currently on the coastline at the WA and South Australia border, just having a look at the original telegraph station, which is now being consumed by shifting sands. The message has got as far as here, and then we're passed over to South Australia and the rest of Australia. Everybody's packing up. We're just about to drive out of our last bush camp for this particular trip. Everybody will be home this evening, and I guess that being the end of the journey, you know what that means. There being no further business, I hereby declare the meeting closed.